and the NDA she asked me to shred. I am the man who lives between signatures and secrets. On org charts they call me records and compliance, which means I know where the bodies would be buried if we kept corpses in bankers' boxes. I run the retention schedules, the shredders with appetites, the vault where the contracts go to sleep. At Heliothura, a biotech that sells hope inside vials and slides, I am the last pair of eyes before anything vanishes or becomes permanent. That's how I met Rowan. She walked into my office with the deliberate grace of someone accustomed to being noticed and being misread. A white silk blouse, slate trousers, ring, yes. It was the kind of ring that makes auditors polite. Her husband, Leon Vale, is the founder we sell to investors like a parable. Scrappy boy genius, righteous mission. A friend to regulators who once told them no and now tells them how. Rowan is the photograph on our website people scroll back to look at without knowing why. I need a shred authorization, she said, as if she didn't know the weight of those words. What are we destroying? I asked, already picturing the chain of custody form, the bin with a padlock, the barcode that would tell a burning story. She set a manila envelope on my desk and slid it toward me with 2 fingers. On the flap, our logo. On the tab, a sticky note with my name and a small, polite plea. Today. NDA, she said. Old, unenforceable. We're cleaning the attic before the road show. Unenforceable is a spell word, useful in boardrooms and doomed in court. Whose? I asked. Hers, she said, and tilted her chin toward a lobby portrait I could not see from where I sat but had memorized anyway. The pioneer scientist whose lab notes Leon turned into a platform. The woman whose name he still says reverently in keynotes. The one who left quietly when reverence pays less than equity. She's happy, Rowan added, which is what people say when they want a document to die without a second look. I broke the seal like a surgeon. Inside were 2 copies of a non-disclosure agreement 10 years old and still mean. Parties, Heliothura and one Dr. Tamsin Halper. Purpose, evaluation of collaboration. Covenants that made breath feel like violation. The signatures were familiar. Leon's scrawl like a storm. Tamsin's precise hand, a woman who understood the difference between accuracy and obedience. On the back of one copy, highlighter had left a faint rectangle around a clause everyone pretends not to notice. Residual knowledge. What you keep in your head isn't theft, the clause argues. It's memory. Why now? I asked. Because the lawyers say the clause invites stories, Rowan said. Because stories are expensive near an IPO. She stood at the window and watched the city try to remember itself. Up close, I could smell bergamot and effort. Do you ever wish paper would make its own ethics? She asked. The question was casual only in tempo. Every day, I said. Paper prefers verbs like must and shall. Ethics likes maybe and later. She turned. Her mouth wanted to smile and chose not to. Today, she said again, tapping the envelope, if you can. We have a ritual for destruction. It is as performative as a wedding and more real. I logged the NDA, printed a shred ticket, locked it in a bin with a hinge that bows to bar codes. I wheeled it down to the vault where the industrial shredder lives like a hungry god. When I pressed the pedal, the mouth opened, the teeth hummed, the bin tipped. I fed documents that were less complicated and let the machine clear its throat. I placed the NDA on top of the stack and then, because I am a coward who sometimes tries to be brave, I removed one copy and slid it into a sleeve labeled legal hold, training sample. The shredder ate the rest with a pleased sigh. By the time I wheeled the bin back, my palms were damp and my throat hurt from not speaking. I scanned the barcode. A green checkmark blessed me. Rowan waited outside my office as if she had been moving between other rooms and wanted to finish this story where it began. "All gone?" she asked. "All but the electronic entries," I said. "The log records destruction. That's the point." She nodded once, as if admiring my refusal to lie. "Thank you," she said, and then, after a deliberate breath, "Coffee." I should have said no. I should have said something about conflict walls or the dignity of staying irrelevant. Instead, I said yes, because I had not had an interesting conversation that week, and because the way she held herself around the word coffee was less flirtation than an invitation to stand in a room where someone else carried the silence for a change. We went to the mezzanine cafe, where the light makes everyone look evaluated and forgiven. She ordered chamomile, which felt like misdirection. I ordered black coffee, which felt like a confession of inability to improve. We stood at the rail and watched the lobby perform transparency. "Did you know Tamsin?" she asked. "I've met the biography," I said. "She taught Leon how to listen," Rowan said. "He taught her how to make other people hear. They were brilliant together. It ended because brilliance doesn't always make room for oxygen." "What does it make room for?" I asked. "Credit," she said. "Resentment, the wrong kind of loyalty." She placed her cup on the rail and let her hand rest near mine, not touching, declaring proximity. The microscopic tremor in her ring finger told me something her face refused to. We did not talk about why she was here and he was not. We did not talk about how elegant it is to hire the wife to clean the attic of her husband's previous life. We did not talk about how destruction has a sound that follows people up elevators and down halls. That might have been the end if the email had never arrived. It came the next afternoon from external counsel, with a subject line that pretended to be housekeeping. Investor DD follow-up. In the first paragraph, a sentence like a tripwire. "Please confirm Heliothura has no outstanding obligations to Dr. Halper, including any right of first refusal or royalty share under pre-2015 agreements." Obligations, right of first refusal, royalty. The NDA I had almost fed to hunger had none of those, but NDAs get stapled to other things in messy offices where people save their own souls with binder clips. I searched our database for TAMSINHALPER and found her name attached to a folder I had never opened because it was 3 directors old and our taxonomy is a palimpsest. Inside, 2 drafts of a collaboration agreement. One signed by Tamsin, not countersigned by Leon, the lines for royalty and inventorship blank. The other with comments that smelled like afternoon fights. Institution requires a grant back. Founder refuses. In the margin, Tamsin had written in neat blue ink, "Then do not use what we built together to sell your future." My doorframe clicked. Rowan leaned there, hands in pockets, posture of someone who would prefer to ask permission and cannot. "You look like someone teaching yourself to breathe," she said. "Your attic is bigger than advertised," I said. She came in and closed the door and sat without being asked. "What did you keep?" she asked, not accusing, not surprised. "Half an NDA," I said, "and a problem we can't shred." She folded her hands with the good manners of a person who survived boarding schools. "Leon will say he never countersigned," she said. "He didn't," I said. "He will say her contribution was non-enabling," she said. "It wasn't," I said. "He will ask if you kept a copy," she said. "I'll say we kept a record," I said, and something like relief moved across her face as quickly as a breeze. "Thank you," she said. She didn't mean for the paperwork. There are lines you cross that make new maps. We crossed one that night, not with mouths, not with beds, but with the kind of intimacy that knows where breath lives. She came back after hours when the building had cooled to its electronics. We stood in the records vault with the lights on low and the smell of paper like an old promise. I showed her the folder. She didn't touch it. We stood too close and learned the shape of restraint that wasn't denial but choreography. Her shoulder against my arm, my palm briefly on the cool metal of the cabinet beside her hip, heat folded neatly under caution. "Do you love him?" I asked, because it was late enough to ask the wrong thing kindly. "I love the version of him that wasn't being watched," she said. "He loves the version of me that doesn't ask whether we got here honestly." "Do you want to leave?" I asked. "I want to arrive," she said. The next day, Leon returned wearing a tie ambitious enough to have its own calendar. He clapped my shoulder in the hallway as if he knew me. He stopped in my office as if I had scheduled him. He sat without waiting and held my eyes the way men do when they suspect anyone who blinks. "I hear we're tidying," he said. "I hear we're disclosing," I said. He grinned. "Same sacrament," he said, "different hymns." He asked if we had anything outstanding with Tamsin that could turn into a footnote investors would confuse with a plot. I told him the truth. A draft never countersigned, a memory of collaboration, an NDA destroyed under policy. He nodded as if I had sung his favorite song. "Good," he said. "Paper is so dramatic, I prefer results." When he left, Rowan stood in the doorway like a ghost who had decided to keep haunting out of spite. "He believes the story he pays for," she said. "He always has." "Many people do," I said. "Do you?" she asked. "I rent mine month to month," I said. Over the next week we did a dance with counsel and bankers and curiosity. We certified destruction. We stamped in blue. I held back nothing I was obligated to surrender and nothing more. In a different world I would have leaked. In this one, I practiced fidelity to the rule that saved more people than it hurt. Rowan watched me with eyes that understood exactly what I wasn't doing and why. And then the thing with the NDA unfolded like a stage trap that triggers when the lead is loud enough. An email arrived from Tamsin herself, addressed to a general inquiry inbox, and forwarded to me by a receptionist who prefaces everything with "not sure if this is something." It contained a photo of her holding a piece of paper whose edges I recognized, because I had almost fed its twin to teeth. She'd photographed the clause about residual knowledge and the signature line under Leon's scrawl. I called Rowan from the vault. My voice sounded like it was coming from the bottom of the box we were inside. "She wants acknowledgement," I said. "She deserves it," she said. "What will Leon give?" I asked. "Credit without cash," she said. "What will you give?" I asked. "Me," Rowan said softly, and then I understood she had been the attic cleaner by choice and by bargain. "I will give him an exit that hurts less," she said, "or I will give myself one." We met that night for tea. We didn't drink in a bar that likes to think leather is an argument it always wins. We sat in a booth where the light pretends to be kind. I told her what I thought was vanishingly possible. We could acknowledge Tamsin's early contribution in the S1 footnote everyone skims and no one misses, with language that left room for the truth to grow later. Rowan looked at me as if I had suggested we move gravity. "Will you write it?" she asked. "Counsel will," I said. "I'll make a draft legally boring and ethically audible." "Make it human," she said. "Make it the size of a hand." She took mine then, briefly, under the table, with a pressure that belonged to strangers and survivors. We didn't kiss. We didn't have to. We were two people building an exit that didn't collapse while we walked through it. The morning of the board meeting, the shredder jammed for the first time in a year. I took it as an omen or a machine asking to be forgiven. Rowan texted me from the hallway outside the boardroom. If I walk, will you still hold what you kept? I wrote back, I will hold what we kept even if we have to pretend we never kept it. The board agreed to an acknowledgement. Leon agreed to a phrasing that didn't injure budgets. Tamsin agreed to allow her name back into a story that had tried to remove it. Rowan did not agree to play the attic anymore. She walked out of the boardroom, past the lobby with the transparent lies, past my office where I stood with my hands in my pockets to keep from reaching for her, into an elevator that knows how to keep secrets until the doors open. I picked up the phone and called the external shred service. "One fewer bin this month," I said. "We are keeping some paper until it learns to forgive us." That night she met me on the rooftop terrace our employees use to pretend nicotine is contemplation. The city threw itself at the glass like an animal in love. She stood with her hands on the rail and didn't speak. I stood next to her and didn't ask. When she leaned her head onto my shoulder, it felt like heat rewritten. We let the moment exist exactly as long as it could without asking for witnesses. "I'm not staying married to a man who needs me to prove he's a saint," she said. "I'm not running toward a man who helped me keep a truth. Not yet." "I'm good with not yet," I said. "I'm excellent at versions." She laughed into my jacket, and I felt holy for about 3 seconds. We still work in the same building, for now. Leon walks the halls with a humility you can use as set dressing. Tamsin sends emails that sound like scientists pretending to be poets. The S1 landed with a footnote that contains the exact amount of justice our lawyers will allow. People will argue about it. That's how we know it's proportionate for the moment we're in. Sometimes late, when the shredder quiets and the vault breathes like a creature content not to be fed, I take the half NDA from its sleeve and read the sentence about residual knowledge. I think about what we know that doesn't belong to anyone else. I think about a woman who asked me to shred something that was never really paper. I think about the night we practiced not touching, and how that was more dangerous than anything my ethics training could ever name. When I lock it away, I don't feel like a thief. I feel like a witness. That's my job. Between signatures and secrets, someone has to stand there with their hand on the door, choosing when to close it and promising to open it again when the room is ready for air.